Welcome to Biggest Geekus. We're your hosts. I'm Randy.
And I'm Joe.
This is episode 42 of our podcast, and the date is Wednesday, June 16th, 2021.
It is, and 42. That's a significant number.
That is for geekeries. That's true, man.
It is.
So it's the, what is it? It's a Hitchhiker's Guide thing, right?
It's the answer to everything.
Correct.
What is the meaning of, I don't know if it's the meaning of life, but it's the answer to the universe or something like that.
Right. It's a sweet geek number. Everybody knows it and loves it. Oh, so how you been since, I don't know, yesterday? Well, my back's gotten much better. Right on.
That's always good.
Yeah. So we're going to jump into some call-ins.
We are going to jump.
Sweet.
Jumping into the call.
Notice a sweet Cabin Con t-shirt.
Cabin Con. All right.
Yeah.
Courtesy of Patrick.
Yeah, those are the sweet superhero action. It's awesome. I'm about ready to punch Jeff because he's being Superman too. He should not be Superman.
He should not be.
I should be Superman only. The real Kal-El, please stand up.
All righty, Row.
Hey there, guys. Just listening to your latest episode, in particular, Jason's calling about Pundit and Wenger's stuff. I've got Lion and Dragon and Dark Albion, The Rose War, and the Cults of Chaos supplement for that by RPG Pundit. And I've got a lot of these smaller sort of like zine style things that RPG Pundit presents that he puts out. And yeah, I've quite enjoyed those. Some of his sort of like weird sort of gonzo fantasy isn't really my flavour, but yeah, I like Dark Albion, The Rose War. I like Lion and Dragon. It's pretty interesting. I've not run it as is, but like a lot of my OSR games, I take bits out of it and bits of inspiration to use in the various games that I do run. As for Wenger stuff, I've got a copy of his Chult book, which I still need to get around to doing a review. He kindly sent me a review copy. I've just not got around to it yet, but I will do at some point.
Huh. Go ahead.
And as I say, a lot of his stuff's a little bit sort of too gonzo for my particular taste, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. It's just not really my particular flavour. Anyway, just sort of drop you a couple of messages since Jason said maybe I get involved in the conversation. And as he said, we did review, myself and Pete Jones, one of the sort of Chult style products. I forget which one now on Purple Worm back when that was still a thing, because Wenger was kind of sent as a PDF. And both myself and Pete Jones, even though it wasn't 100% our flavour, we quite enjoyed it with it. It was well written and well put together. So take that for what it's worth. Anyway, I'm going to go back to listening to the rest of the episode, guys. Catch you in a bit.
So is it Wenger or Venger?
Potato. I've heard both.
I guess
I've not heard him pronounce his own name. So
right.
Don't know. But it's good to hear a third-party review.
Yeah. I need to look that up and listen to it. I've listened to Purple Worm from time to time.
Hey there, John again. Just to let you know, since I heard Jason referencing Delving Deeper and he said he didn't think you get a print copy, you actually can get a print copy from Lulu. If you look under Delving Deeper Reference Rules Compendium, I've got a copy of it. I seem to remember it's pretty reasonable. It's like 130 pages, paperback, doesn't really cost a great deal. And I really love it as a simple sort of OD&D clone. Anyway, I'm going to get back to listening to the episode, guys. Take it easy.
Okay. Boy, how many retro clones can one person have, though? I've got a few already. So,
well, considering PDFs, I don't know that you can have too many.
No, if you go PDF style, that's great. You know me, I like to print books, but I do.
A lot of them are thin too.
Oh yeah,
not all of them are that big.
Oh, basic RPG is thin. Swords and Wizardry is thin. Yeah, it's cool. That's why I'm liking it.
Yeah. And this is a first-time caller for our show.
Sweet.
Yo, what's up, fellas? It's the real Joe. just kidding, man. I just wanted to call in the first time with something that we totally agree on. You know, because I'm sure we are very different on a lot of other things. But I fully am on board with playing the whole game. I get so tired of constantly running low-level adventures. I always try and run my campaigns. I don't run a lot of one-shots. I don't like running one-shots. I'd much rather run an entire campaign, and for me, that whole campaign is as far as we can get. You know, if we get to 20, that's awesome, because you can do crazy awesome stuff at 20th level, 10th level, 15th level, whatever. But yeah, I am all about playing the whole game. So yeah, there you go. There's something we agree on. Anyway, peace out.
Thanks, Joe. I've heard Joe Richter on Jason's podcast and a few others. Yeah, I don't think he and I would think exactly the same way. He's a big Pathfinder guy. Joe, if you're listening, do you play Pathfinder 1 or 2E? I think 1 is what he's been playing, but I'm not sure.
I think so. I'm not sure though. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I can imagine a Pathfinder especially, man. There are so many dials to turn and little widgets and feats and cool. I can imagine you could play, if you loved Pathfinder, you could play that 1 to 20 multiple times.
Oh yeah.
And keep have new stuff you can do. Yeah, I get it.
Oh, there's so many permutations that you don't have enough years in a lifetime.
No, I don't think you do.
No, not one set of people. No way.
Yeah, thanks for calling, Joe. That was cool.
Yes, Joe Richter.
Agree or not, call it. Yeah, Hindsightless podcast. And hey, dude, call in if you disagree. That's okay.
Yeah.
We and Andy have had a little back and forth. It's all good.
Howdy. This is Taylor from Cleric's Wear Ringmail, calling in with an idea about alignment in clerical magic. So we have in 3E the 9-point alignment, and you have 9 levels of spells. So why not, and this is off the cuff, I haven't dug into the ramifications of this, for each step away from the cleric's deity that a recipient of divine magic is, that reduces the maximum spell level that they can benefit from.
It'd have to be beneficial, because it wouldn't work that well with damaging. But he has a couple other bits on this. Let's get the whole thing out.
That's very interesting, yeah.
To clarify, a lawful good character being targeted by a lawful good cleric, or more so a lawful good deity, but whatever, you could hit them with a true res. You could hit them with a miracle. They are wide open to the blessings of that deity because their alignment is in tandem with that deity. Conversely, a chaotic evil character being targeted by that same lawful good cleric, chaos is 2 steps from law, evil is 2 steps from good, and 9 minus 4 is 5, so the maximum spell level that the cleric can cast on and that chaotic evil character could benefit from would be level 5. They would not benefit from a true res. They would have to settle for a raise dead. They would not be able to benefit from a mass heal. They would have to settle for a mass cure light wounds, for example.
He's got one more bit.
Okay.
And while I'm thinking about it, if you wanted to expand on that idea, you could have harmful or damage-dealing cleric spells not hurt targets of like alignment. So lawful good versus chaotic evil, we said, was 4 steps, so we'll go with the 4 steps theory again. Our lawful good cleric from before and his lawful good target have a spat, and the cleric tries to cast repulsion to get some peace. Repulsion is a 7th level spell. Because the target is lawful good, he can walk right on through that. He can only be affected by a harmful spell of level 5 or below. So the cleric will have to try something else. Maybe Wind Wall. That's only level 3. So them's my thoughts on the subject.
Oh, that's pretty simple, and it's not horrific in terms of like, I don't think that would be a huge problem. I don't know. I mean, you could always say, well, what if you're, I mean, how many, so if you're say you're awful good and the bad guy is neutral. So neutral is it still just?
It's probably just 2 steps away.
I say 2 steps. It sounds like he's wanting to max it at 4. So
that's as high as it would go.
So you couldn't bust him with a 7th, 8th or 9th level spell that was damaging, or you couldn't heal him with a spell that was 8th or 9th level.
Well, I don't. Only if he didn't want it. You can. I think it's. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I don't know. I think that's
it's interesting.
I think it would be worth an experiment. I don't see a huge problem with it right now.
No. Something thought-provoking. Got one more from him.
All right.
Oh, and lastly, I would totally wear the Biggest Geekus t-shirt you were talking about an episode or 2 back. Smell you later, guys.
Good. All right, we get that made. Don't be surprised, Taylor, if you have one. That was cool.
Yeah.
So thanks. Who do we have there? We had John, Big John. A lot of good comments there, and Joe Richter call in. Apparently, he's a little bit leaning toward Andy's camp. We're not his absolute and lockstep, but that's cool. I would love to hear from him on the opposite side. Hear a little argumentation. That's cool. It's all good.
Good discussion.
And Taylor, thank you so much. That was very cool. I liked his thought on the cleric and the level difference and stuff. Part of me doesn't want to have that much reliance on alignment, but that'd be interesting. It would be interesting to try.
You could do something similar perhaps with even a looser alignment system. If you just wanted to do the real old school 3 alignment deal, you could still do something. And instead of being 1 step, it would be maybe 2 per.
Right. 4 steps are not bad though, because when he initially said it, I was like, wow. But so a cleric lawful good cleric or chaotic evil cleric could still raise a lawful good person from the dead, and the reverse.
Yeah.
You do it. So that's not. If I could only be helped by 5th level cleric spells with my party cleric, first of all, it'd be hard to imagine you being in the same party if you're that far away. But if you were, for some weird reason, then that's not that bad. So you can't benefit from heal. Granted, at high level, you'd like to have it, but cure critical wounds is pretty sweet, and raise dead is nice. So I don't know. I don't think it's too bad.
No.
And by bad, I just mean, I don't think it's like something that would be, screw the game up in some way, shape, or form.
No. Not at all. It would actually, it could bring some sort of, there would be implications for it.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be just you can cast all your magic on everybody willy-nilly for the deities. It would seem like there's more control from on high than otherwise.
And alignments or who you worship would matter. And what if
or on
imagine playing first edition, and you have 7th level cleric spells. If you kept the same range, that would go down to 3. That'd be a little tougher, right? So if you were playing, because clerics only had 7th level spells.
That's true.
If you kept the same subtraction rule, 9 minus 4, and they had the same 9-point alignment scale, then you could only cast maybe 7th level, subtract 4 would be 3.
Yeah.
Tougher. I don't know. That might push more party cohesion. Some dude wants to play, I'm going to be lone wolf, neutral evil guy. I wouldn't suggest it. Why? I'm a lawful good cleric.
It could also be a giveaway. If you're trying to hide your evilness.
Yeah.
I mean, low level it wouldn't be, but once you got somewhere, if you hadn't been found out already.
Dude, you just fought the dragon and you just killed your wizard. The cleric's like, don't worry about it. I got raised dead. And you're like, oh crap. They're going to find out I'm neutral evil. It doesn't work. What do you mean it don't work? I got components. I'm all good with my God. And the cleric will be like, our boy's not who he said he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his heart is not in the right place.
Right.
That would be cool. Yeah. All right. Shall we slide on into the positive material plane?
We shall.
All right. You got something to talk about? Because we both know something we're going to talk about a little bit.
Okay, so we'll start with my bit first. Taylor, who we just heard from, has a new podcast, which we are
Sweet.
excited about. It's cool.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's the same as his blog, Clerics Wear Ringmail.
Yeah, go Taylor.
And it's at Anchor. So we'll have a link in the show notes for you.
Is he flying solo?
Yes.
This one? You can, cool. I haven't listened to, I think, Joe, have you listened to all of it or just a little bit of it?
Well, he only has one episode.
All one of them? Sweet.
Yes. I've listened
Cool.
to
Good job,
all
Taylor.
one of them. He just started today or yesterday.
Sweet. Join us on the
Or
dark
it was
side.
today. I saw the notification at like 6:30 this morning or something like that.
Join us on the pod side. That's
Yes.
cool. Is he on Anchor too?
Anchor, yes.
All right. And then, of course, we got a little bit of announcement. We're going to be doing some contest action soon,
Yes.
right? We'll be hitting 50th episode, and we're going to have a giveaway. Joe, you want to explain how that's going to work?
Right. So we're going to have a
Well,
giveaway.
roughly. We're not fully ready yet, but it'll be soon.
Roughly speaking, it's going to the first thing that'll probably happen is our 50th episode.
Right. We're just going to give something away.
And it's going to be a game book of some kind.
Right.
And it'll be once everything's put together on the website, you'll know what it is.
Right.
We've got some choices that you've got some things you've picked out, but not a
Yeah.
particular thing for that bit.
Helping
And then-
you out, guys.
So it'll be a couple months from now because we're at
Mhm.
episode 42. That's 8 episodes away,
Right.
roughly 2 months away.
Give you plenty of time to get signed up for it.
Correct. The other piece is we're trying to get our subscribers on YouTube going and a better listenership. And to help promote that, we are going to run a contest so that right now we have 33 subscribers on YouTube.
Yes.
33.
That's awesome.
And we want to get more. Obviously, more is almost always better.
Right.
Yes.
A rumor has it, though, Joe, that the way you get more is you actually have good content, though. But
Oh.
since we can't do that, we should work on some other way to do it.
Right. And we're going to do that with a contest. We're going to hopefully those listening will be motivated so that at 50 subscribers, we're going to do another giveaway. And then every so often after that, like at 100, 200, something like that. We haven't really decided exactly.
Decided.
But starting
50th
at
episode will be
50.
first. Yeah.
50 episodes.
I'm pumped.
I mean, if we get to 50 subscribers before we get to 50th episode,
oh, then I may have to do that sooner.
yeah,
That's all right.
It's possible.
Dude, that's not even all my stuff back there, folks. So if you're listening to the podcast, you can't see it, but I got piles of crap, and I have to give stuff away because I just spent a buttload again. So,
Sending
how about
crap in the mail is illegal.
that? Oh well, I'll send books in the mail.
Books,
That's
much
legal.
better.
And I've got because I've got like some Arknight stuff coming. Dude, I so don't know what downsizing is. That's awesome. We should have another episode on that.
Right. And one on self-control. I know that we just talked about the newest Kickstarter that either one of us would probably be interested
Dying
in.
Earth.
Dying Earth.
I was listening to Gaming and BS. Did you know Pelgrane Press made a Dying Earth role-playing game
No, I
a
didn't
couple
know
years
that.
ago? And we love 13th Age. I'm tempted to go give that a peek.
Okay.
Because I mean, DCC, I still haven't gotten that to the table. Well, except for the one, Frontiers, something Dark Frontiers or whatever. So Dark Trails, whatever it was. Got that little bit of that. You didn't play in that, but I want to. But it's super swingy. I can't. I want to play it, but I don't know. Probably, I'm feeling like that's going to be a Cabin Con game. I've been warning, been threatening that for a couple of years, but I think it's going to happen.
Right. So in short,
Yes. Sorry.
in short, yes, we both sidetracked. In short, contest coming. 50th episode contest giveaway.
Mhm.
The way it's going to work is we're going to have an email, not an email. We're going to have a web page that will have a form to put your email in,
Mhm.
and then once we've gotten to 50th episode, however many people we have subscribed, it'll be a random person, and then similarly with the YouTube subscribership, as you go there and subscribe, because that's what you should do.
Yes, absolutely.
Also, go to we'll have a link and everything set up so that you can give us your email as well. Once we hit 50 subscribers, we'll go to our email list, randomly determine one person, and do another giveaway.
And we're thinking what we'll probably do is pull an idea from old Tinkar, Eric Tinkar's Tavern Chat, where him and Bad Mike roll a die. Once Joe has the list, and I'll roll the die or he'll roll the die, and we'll determine who gets it just at a random.
It'll just be random.
Yeah.
So, but the thresholds after the 50th episode will be YouTube subscribers. So not only do you subscribe on YouTube, you give us your email, you do both.
Right.
If that's too much for you, then you won't win anything. So.
No, and we'll bombard you. When you give us your email, we'll bombard you with junk mail. No, we won't. But I'll send you private emails because I'm annoying. I was like, hey, what are you doing? No, I won't do that. Just kidding. No danger.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we will not spam you. We might send a newsletter out once in a while.
Hopefully we're going to get around to that. Of course, I got to get to where I'm writing an article because I haven't done that. So there you go. But anyway, cool. So anything else positive and cool? Just
not for today. Taylor's podcast and the contest.
Yeah, cool. Contest is coming. Get ready to get some free crap. All right.
Sounds good.
So moving to the main topic.
Yes, main topic.
We are going to do another class and role analysis, a little melee analysis. We're going to talk about the warrior. Merriam-Webster dictionary on the web says a warrior is a person engaged or experienced in warfare. Broadly defined, a person engaged in some struggle or conflict. So, of course, for D&D, it's probably a little closer to the warfare guy.
The fighter.
The fighter. Yeah, the fighter. So we're going to focus more on D&D. We may talk about other games later, but right now we're focusing on D&D like we did last time. We're going to run through the editions. I will start with original D&D, and then we'll alternate. Does that sound good?
Yeah. So I got a question, though.
Sure.
And I probably should have asked you this before we started.
So
are we going to analyze melee and how it works, or are we just going to talk about the fighter?
We're going to talk more about the fighter, though you're welcome to bring that up.
Okay. That's I just wanted to know.
Yeah, we can talk about because there's a couple things in here that I learned. I'll be honest with you. No, I'm not giving it away. I'll tell it later. Yeah. You might be surprised what my favorite warrior is now.
Oh, okay.
I have a new edition that I'm pretty fond of.
Okay.
And 7th edition. I'll look into the future. No.
7th edition.
Anyway.
All right.
Just kidding. Anyway, original D&D was called the Fighting Man, but they also called him the Fighter in the same one. And it says the fighting men are fighters both used, and it includes elves, dwarves, and halflings. They say that on page 6. They're included because they all fight like the fighting men. And then max hit dice of 10d6. And this is kind of weird. So when you hit 10th level, you get 10d6 plus 1. 11th level, 10d6 plus 2. 12th level, 10d6 plus 3. No, I got it backwards. At 12th level, it jumps to 11d6 plus 1. Then again at every 3 levels, it does this plus 1, plus 2, plus 3 jump. Plus 1, plus 2, plus 3 jump. So when they jump, you get a new hit dice. So it goes, I believe it's 9, 10, 11. It's 10 dice, plus 1, plus 2, plus 3. Then at 12th level, 12, 13, 14 is 11 dice, plus 1, plus 2, plus 3, and so on. That's how it increases. And so I wondered, how do you roll those hit points?
So the plus 1, plus 2, plus 3
is additional. 3 is plus 3. So for those 3 levels, you're going to get plus 1 hit point, then a plus another hit point, then plus another hit point, I think. And then when you jump at 12th level, you go from having 10d6 plus 3 to having 11d6 plus 1.
How does that?
Yeah.
That's
so
weird.
I'm like, well, then I'm guessing what you do. So let's say you have 58 hit points or 61 hit points at 11th level. You've rolled all your 10d6 plus every level. Then I'm guessing when you hit 12, you get another d6 and a plus 1. And then at 13, you get a plus 1. And at 14, you get a plus 1. And then at 15, you bump up to 12d6. So another d6 plus 1. That's the way it reads. It's kind of weird. And I read the original D&D rules. They're kind of funky.
Yes, they are.
And it says, and they constantly reference the fighting ability from chainmail. And every fighter is like, well, a 10th level fighter fights like a superhero plus 2.
Right.
I don't know exactly what that means, but I think in chainmail that means something.
Right.
Strength is the prime rec, and you can, when you roll your character up, you can give up 3 points and another ability to gain 1 in strength. That's allowed. And of course, you get, if you have a 13 to 14, you get 5% experience. If your strength is 13 or 14, 5% experience boost every time you get XP. If it's 15 or higher, you get a 10% boost. It says you may use all magic weaponry, and they claim they have, and they do, more hit dice than all the other classes. Top level fighters who build castles. This is fascinating. Remember our discussion with the cleric? Remember they talked about clerics that were, this is later on, I'm jumping the gun. So anyway, they build castles. They're considered barons. Base income for a baron is a tax rate of 10 gold pieces per inhabitant of the barony per game year. That's what you get.
Huh.
So not a lot of money, unless you have a big, now if you have a barony of 5,000 people, that's 50,000 gold a year you're getting.
Right.
I mean, in theory.
So it might behoove you to try to attract people to your barony to become citizens.
Correct. So they play the domain game.
That's cool. I like the domain game. One part about this I don't really care for is making human fighters, elven fighters, elves, dwarves, and halflings equivalent at fighting.
Well, they're not, because halflings can only go to 4th level fighting, man.
Oh, okay.
Dwarves can do 8. I want to say 6th or 7th for the elf, but elves can progress as a fighting man and a magic user. And it's weird. They say they can change how they're progressing per adventure.
Oh yeah, old D&D does a weird thing like that.
And they don't explain it very well because, well, they assumed everybody probably knew. Which
plus, if you only go to 4th level, like a lot of people like to do,
hey, max level halfling,
then all the fighters are equal.
Yeah. And plus the halflings are better because they could, the way it's described, halflings in old D&D can like move almost completely invisibly when they're alone.
Right.
And that's all they say. They don't give you the rules for it. They just say they can.
And they get a bonus to, I think they get a bonus to missile weapons, something like that, thrown weapons.
I think so. I didn't look close, but yeah.
Yeah.
So believe it or not, there was not a whole lot on the fighter in terms of description. They thought it was obvious. They had a couple of tables and there you go. But of course, you're talking about all the weapons do a D6 in OD&D. So there wasn't much differentiation between anybody. So anyway, that's why when you had a taste of that at Gen Con, at Cabin Con this year, right? It wasn't, everybody was doing kind of the same damage.
Yeah.
I think John was with you. John's fighter was a little better than everybody else. And I think Tim got the fighter and when I ran the game earlier, and he got the magic sword too. So he was a little better. So.
Right.
Okay.
All right. So Beckme, fighters are humans whose main ability is fighting skill, and they do more damage in combat. Protect the weaker friends. I was going to say fiends. The weaker friends. Frontline is stressed. They have a variety of weapons. Max level is 36 for Beckme.
Yep.
Prime rec is strength. XP plus a 5% if you have a 13 to 15, 10% if you have a 16 to 18.
So that's a little different than OE, just a little.
Yeah, a little. D8 hit dice per level, which is also a little bit more. On only 1 point though on average, but plus 2 per level starting at 10th. And con adjustment no longer applies
at 10th.
Right. Any armor, shields, or weapons, special abilities, lance attack, set spear versus charge, and fighter combat options maneuvers. And I remember reading through this not too long ago. Yeah. The maneuvers. Disarm, parry, smash, which adds strength score to damage. The score.
Right.
That's pretty big.
That's right. So you get your strength modifier, and you got a 15 strength plus 15 more. So smash is pretty boss.
Wow. Multiple attacks. If you can hit a foe with a modified plus 2 or higher, then at 12th level can attack twice a round, advancing to 3 per round at 24th level and 4 a round at 36th. Also allowed to move as one of those.
So here's the point. Forgive Joe. He's having to read my shorthand writing. It says you can, in place of one of those attacks, let's say you're fighting a foe at your 36th level, and let's suppose you can hit that foe with a 2 or higher on a D20. Okay, that's what it requires. If you can hit them with so in other words, if you got it, I'm guessing if you read this literally, if you're 36 level, you don't get multiple attacks against foes that you need a 3 or more to hit.
Right. Unmodified.
Unmodified. No, it says modified.
Oh, modified. Okay.
You get to modify, which is 36 level. You're probably hitting everything at 2 or higher. So 2 or higher, you get 4 attacks. So you could, as 1 attack, swing your sword, as 1 attack, parry, as 1 attack, smash, and as your 4th attack, move. Now, to me, remember the problem I had? Remember I mentioned with old school, when we ran a white box sword and sorcery, and maybe someone out there can help me. I don't know if you can actually move as part of your action. I think movement in combat is the action you get, according to the rules as written. But I have seen some stuff in OSE, Old School Essentials, that implies there's combat movement. But they say specifically you may move as one of your attack actions. So
it's probably one of those things that you'd have to really delve into the rules to make sure what one way or the other, because they weren't organized very well.
Yeah.
Right. So and those maneuvers were mainly fighter only. Discussion of name level and domain development, like a cleric, landowning and traveling fighters. Alignment of traveling fighter made him either a paladin, a knight, or an avenger, depending on your alignment, lawful, neutral, or chaotic, respectively.
Correct. In that order. I thought that was interesting. So they did that again. They did the landowning versus traveling. So I guess maybe at that point in D&D, at least to Mincer's idea, I wonder if people were starting to shy away from what they do now. You don't see a lot of domain building. I know Axe, Adventure Conqueror King, they kind of hang their hat on that idea.
Right.
But you don't see a lot of that in more modern games, at least not modern D&D, let's say.
Right.
From third edition on.
Right.
So
that was probably assumed to be just the role of the DM and the players to figure out how they were going to do that. If they were going to do that. Because
correct me if I'm wrong, I think Beckme, the full Beckme, didn't come out till 1E was fully in its heyday. I think it was not even out until after Arcana Unearthed Arcana. Rule Cyclopedia, I don't think came out in 1990.
Yeah.
So, I think Unearthed Arcana was 86. So my point is, I think maybe Mincer was seeing, I'm guessing, I'm reading his mind here. I wonder if he was seeing the writing on the wall, Joe, that people were more interested, or at least having the option of, I don't want to be tied down to a kingdom. I'm a super rich fighter. I'm going to hide it. I'm going to have somebody protect it. And I want to go do my thing. I'm going to be an adventurer at a 36 level.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, the Rule Cyclopedia, I see what you're saying. The Rule Cyclopedia, though, was a compilation of rules that already existed with some additions. So
they were all made by, but they were all written by Mincer. I know for a fact it wasn't true. Because not what you're saying wasn't true.
Right.
Basic and Expert were out, and we got the first edition books.
Yeah.
And we didn't get the first printing of the Player's Handbook, dude.
Right.
You're like printing 3.
Oh, we were late to the party. Yeah.
And so what I'm saying is 1E and Beckme, I think, developed parallel, pretty close. Those out there that know, call in, let me know. I could look it up later on, but still, if you want to call in.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But I think it's interesting. I wonder as a designer if he had his finger on the pulse of changes, or if just Mincer said, okay, some of my players want to hang around, some don't want to build castles. Because I know when we used to talk about building castles, some of you guys are like, I don't want to build a stupid castle. I just want to get the next level. Yeah.
Well, most of us didn't want to build a castle once we saw how much it cost.
Yeah.
Holy crap, we're never going to get that.
And all the crappy things I was going to do to you if you got enough money. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good point.
As soon as we built a castle, you were going to knock it down. So who cares?
Sure. Right. Or I was going to have you killed it in your sleep because that was fun.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So
Fun for you.
Well, I'm a player too, Joe. All right. So what do you think of that Beckme?
I like 36 levels.
I know you do, dude. You'll never see.
Actually, I like it because they do similar things with 3E, but it's spread out.
Yeah.
Which might be a little bit better.
That's what I'm thinking, because it's almost like 3E without all the fiddly bits and trying to build every little, your number of knobs are no longer 11, maybe 5.
Right.
And you turn it and you still can make some pretty, you can do, I think, disarm, parry, smash, lance attack, set, spear, those sort of lance attack. I didn't read into it, but those, and there's more maneuvers too that other folks can perform. And then some of these maneuvers, a class called a mystic could do. A mystic was kind of a monk. And so anyway, I just thought it was kind of interesting. But
Well, there's also weapon specialization.
Yes, there is. I did not look that up.
I don't know if that's what they called it in this, but they have a lot of tables with each class got a number of selections. The fighter got the most. I think actually the elf, the dwarf, and the halfling, they might have gotten close to it, but I think the fighter had the most of all of it.
Well, because I had to jump to the maneuver section because I basically looked at the fighter description for each edition of D&D.
Right.
Well, these editions I didn't do Mold Vey and stuff. I just did Beckme, but I should have done OSC too. That would have been good in the original DX. But anyway, so but yeah, so I mean, I remember you saying that because you were kind of pumped in 1990, 91 when you got this 92. You were already off in the military, right? 92.
I can't remember, but no, 92. Yeah, I was already in the military by then.
You come back to visit, you're like, dude, I really like this. It's got all these specializations. I'm like, oh, but yeah, that was interesting. So I don't know. It's probably in the book. I should look at it.
It is definitely.
Okay. And so let's skip to 1E.
All right.
Now, oh, sorry.
Yeah. So I'm reading 1E. Is that what you said?
No, I think it doesn't matter. Do you want to read 1E? I can do 2. Go ahead.
Because, oh, no,
yeah, do it.
It's your turn. It's your turn.
Okay. Fighters are best combatants and can be any alignment of the 9 types. So now we have 9 alignments, not the 3. So, the lawful chaos axis and the neutral good and the good evil axis. Fighters now have D10 hit dice. They get +3 now, +3 hit points per level. I'm just listing some of the differences. Bonus XP is now flat at 10% if you have a 15 or higher. None of that delineation like in Beckme and in OE. 9th level, they establish what they call a freehold with rules for this was interesting. Rules for attracting men at arms. Paladin and Rangers are now called the subclass of a fighter. That's the language they used. Multiple attacks at higher round. I'm sure higher levels. I'm sure you remember this: 1 every 1, 3 every 2, 2 every 1. And there was some you could get 5 every 2. No mention of fighter maneuvers though. That was not in there. All folks can parry as an optional rule, but no mention of other types in the player's handbook. There was no disarm, no smash, no lance attack. Though they did talk about, I think, setting a spear for a charge was just a thing that you could do. So that was kind of the long and the short of it. And that 1E book we've talked about before is very thin. That's a thin book. So yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I used to I think I really liked the whole Beckme rule cyclopedia version.
Yep.
And I'm pretty sure I liked first edition mostly better than second edition. Because second edition, I think they just tacked on a few things. They didn't, we're going to see in the next paragraph.
They made some changes. You'll see some things that I may comment more on, thought was kind of interesting, but
yeah. Well, we'll just get into it. I didn't ever like the attack per round progression that they had with the 3 every 2, the odd numbers. Is kind of weird.
We could do it. I mean, we're plenty smart enough mathematically.
Yeah, it just seemed odd.
It seemed odd. Yeah, that's why really I think Rule Cyclopedia is superior to 1E.
Probably
at first blush.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into second edition.
Yep.
So you had class groups. Warrior, priest, wizard, and rogue. Within the warrior is the fighter. It's like 1E, but a warrior who is an expert in weaponry. Examples of famous ones: Perseus, Hercules, etc.
So let's pause. Let me pause and say what I mean by that. So in that book, they go through, they start talking about famous warriors of history, which I actually like that part of the fluff. And they said these are warriors that a knight can be a warrior. This can be a warrior. I thought that was pretty cool.
Right. So you get an extra 10% experience points with a 16 or higher strength. That number has gone up.
Yep.
Again. Mentions dex as important as well. May specialize. It's unique to a fighter class, not even other warrior types. Special table wherein can increase attacks per round based on this. For example, darts, 6 per round.
Yeah, dude, the max level special. If you were a dart specialist, you would be doing 6d3 base if they all hit every round. Not bad.
Not bad.
At 20 feet or 15, 20 feet away. Bam, 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 bam.
Reminds me of what's it called? Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
They have a dart throwing deal.
Oh,
in it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you always wanted to play a dagger wielding fighter. The dagger was 5 per round.
Right.
How
To throw?
To throw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through the use of weapon proficiencies and also getting bonuses to hit and damage, ninth level warrior gets an elite bodyguard.
This is new.
House guards for the domain. With special tables, including ones for leaders, well-equipped followers, parrying and weapon speed as optional rules, and 2-weapon fighting, a thing was described.
Finally, they really didn't talk about that much before.
Right. I think maybe in Dragon articles.
Maybe. So what I was trying to want to point out was when you specialized, it was based upon your proficiencies. You also get bonuses to hit and damage, and increases your attack. So specialization gave you 3 big boosts as a fighter. And if you recall, once they had it, everybody specialized. That was the thing that did. You couldn't wait to get to the level to specialize. What I was talking about the elite bodyguard. So before they talk about a little bit money about attracting followers. In second edition, they go, you get the followers. Then you had a table for elite followers. They would come with magic weapons. Like there was warriors that have +1 swords and +1 shields, and some were rangers, and some were paladins, some were this, some were that. I didn't notice anything in the tables with wizards, but it did say the DM can make their own tables for their campaign to include whatever they wish in here. They had hippogriff riders as some of your special followers. So fighters at 9th level could get some really sweet followers, which is a high incentive to build a keep.
Definitely, especially since you would not have let us have a hippogriff as a mount anyway.
No, you could have like a dog.
Yeah,
a very small dog.
Very small dog.
Yeah, too small for a halfling to ride. But that's funny. I do think though, just on first blush, sounds like second edition was a power up for fighters.
Oh yeah, that's what it sounds like to me too.
Compared to the other editions, they were even better. That specialization, I recall specialization and 2-weapon fighting being pretty boss.
Right. I'm not sure how well it compares. It'd be interesting to put them side by side. The weapon mastery rules, or I think they're called mastery.
Yeah, that's right.
From
Beckme,
compared to the specialization starting in second edition, how they compare.
Yeah.
I know that the warrior, the fighter, will have a lot more hit points.
Yes.
In second edition fighter.
Yes. True. All right. Then we jump to 3. Now here's where the rules change to make a big difference. But we still have D10, but there's no limit now. So if you're 15th level fighter, you have 15 D10 and your con adds in as normal. Strength is the main. They actually mentioned constitution as secondary, followed by dexterity. Very important. Now with this game, with this change to 3rd edition, you have skills now. No longer proficiency. You have skills you put points into. They had limited skills known and skill points. Only 6 class skills did the fighter have in 3E. Weapon and armor proficiencies, they had all. They got bonus feats at 1st and 2nd level, then every even level. I believe every class I think every class got a bonus feat, got a feat at 3rd level, every 3 levels or something like that.
Something like that.
Levels. And they got them every other level. Had to be focused on combat. They had a list of skills you could pick with those or feats you could pick with those bonus feats. Any alignment of the 9, as always. Your base attack, which is what they used instead of Thaco, was +1 at level 1. And then at level 20, this is where your multiple attacks came in automatically. +20 on the first strike, +15, +10, +5. So a 20th level fighter is at a minimum attacking 4 times around. Considering how most people played, you're probably attacking a lot more with feats that would add that on. It wouldn't be uncommon if you got hasted. 20th level fighter would be rolling in 7 or 8 attacks around. That would be probably common. Weapon specialization came in at level 4. It gave you some bonuses to hit and damage. You had a certain sort of things. Certain feats you had to pick to get a certain sort of thing. Special combat actions were actually listed out: disarm, trip, grapple, etc. And that was cool idea, I thought at first. That pretty quickly became annoying. The whole idea of those maneuvers. Fighters were good at many of those things, but it wasn't exclusively fighters. You could build a trip monk You could do a lot of things. That was interesting. 3.5, which is married to third edition, modified like 3E, but the skills known went up to 7. Woohoo! And skill points had some changes in feat descriptions, but mostly the same as 3E.
Mostly.
And the combat maneuvers, I can't remember. There was a large size. I think the size of the creature, if you're trying to grapple a creature that was gargantuan, you'd have a penalty of 8 or 10 or 12. And at some point, it became the law of diminishing returns. Even if you were maximized, there were some creatures you just didn't want to waste your time trying to grapple.
Right.
Well, I know there was the hulking hurler who was also an awesome grappler. So that was a build. But yeah, third edition was all about the player building and turning all the knobs and stuff. So
right.
Yeah. I loved it when it came out.
Yeah.
I thought 3 was fun time, and I had a great time with 3rd, 3.5, and Pathfinder. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, you want to do Pathfinder because it's like 3rd edition, but
no, go ahead. I'll do 4. You can do Pathfinder.
All right.
Talked about it.
All right. So Pathfinder 1st edition, because we don't have 2nd, so we don't know really about that. It's like 3rd edition, but changes to skill names and feats. Some other mechanics, especially combat maneuvers, affecting all classes. Skills 10 now, and skill points similar. Weapon train similar to 3rd edition amount of skill points. Weapon training by weapon groups, effectively specialization, bonus feat of some sort every level. Every 4 levels can replace or exchange a bonus feat. At level 2, bravery, bonus to will saves, increasing every 4 levels beyond 2nd. Bravery got to be kind of a weird design point for Pathfinder. They made a lot of archetypes that would switch out bravery for something much better.
Yeah, but bravery wasn't bad because the fighter needed help on the will saves, but they would switch it out and go, yeah, you could have +2 to will save, or you can get +9 damage for every strength modifier point you had on 2-handed weapons. I'll take that.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite that bad, but it felt.
But yeah, most of the time when you switched out bravery, you got something better.
The few archetypes that people picked were always the ones that were busted up.
Yeah. Armor training, getting more maneuverability while wearing armor, bonus to dex, lower ACP, armor check penalty of armor worn, normal speed at certain level for certain armor types, capstone abilities. That was the big thing in this. I thought they were dumb because you got your capstone ability at 20th level.
Right. Well, I mean, that's what a capstone is. It's the final ability.
Yeah. And then you stop playing.
Okay, I feel you now.
Yeah, it's weird. Armor mastery at their capstone abilities were armor mastery at 19th, which gives you damage reduction. Resistance. I can't remember which word it was in Pathfinder. DR.
DR, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Damage reduction, yeah.
Reduction, right. 5. Dash, which meant anything.
Right.
1 using armor or shield, and weapon mastery, auto confirm a crit with a chosen single weapon, and damage multiplier increased by 1, and cannot be disarmed while wielding this weapon.
That was not too bad.
That's not too bad.
But the DR was poop.
Yeah,
DR
5.
Poop. 5 dash is garbage at 19. Yeah. I mean, come on. The minions of a appropriate a CR. Let's just take a CR20 creature, a CR20 Lich, and his minions. His minions are going to be 16 hit dice, 16th level creatures. They're take 5 off my 72. Okay, 67. I mean, wow. Yeah, that was kind of my problem after a while with DR anyway. Yeah. Especially now early on in 3.0, DR was boss. Remember that? Because it was like 10 points per. How'd they do it? Every magic item was 10 points. How was it? +1 DR was 10 points. I don't know how it worked, but I know it was pretty good. Too long. It could get really high, but after a while, it was so low. I thought it was practically worthless in Pathfinder and 3.5. Worthless for the monsters to have, worthless for the players to have.
There were so many ways to bypass DR.
Yeah. Yeah. So we had a heck of a good time playing Pathfinder. We played a lot. 3.5. We had a heck of a good time. But I'll tell you, when I open those books and look at them, I'm just kind of like,
And that's the thing. There were so many books. That's the biggest problem with all of these is they had so much source material.
Yeah. Well, Pathfinder had the problem with Pathfinder is every new book had butt tons of like new classes who had their own mechanics, and players would bring a kineticist, blah blah blah, or an android gunslinger or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
But as the fighters go, I thought Pathfinder helped clear things up, especially with they added the CMB, CMD, that's the combat maneuver. In 3.5, every maneuver, disarm, parry, grapple, especially, everybody bitched about grapple, had their own special rules, and they were kind of convoluted. Pathfinder just said, look, those combat maneuvers, you have an attack modifier when you use one of them, and you have a defense, an armor class when it's getting used against you. That's combat maneuver bonus, combat maneuver defense. Brilliant. Perfect. That made things a little easier to manage mechanically. I don't think it helped make those maneuvers terribly, how would I say it? I don't know how much I enjoyed those maneuvers. As cool as they sound, sometimes they were just, because if a character focused on tripping, became what they call a trip monkey, and I don't know which edition it was, they could become ridiculously broken.
Right.
They trip everything.
Yeah, you trip, you get an automatic attack. And then when they stand up, you get another automatic attack.
Yeah. Got pretty
attack. Right.
Okay. Here comes 4E now. Just like with the cleric, like nothing before it, everything changes. And I pulled this from the 4E wiki like last time, because as I said before, me and Joe haven't played it. The fighter's role was a defender. You are very tough and have the exceptional ability to contain enemies in melee. They made comments, you could do good damage, but not the best in melee. They didn't say, that's my qualifier. You do good damage. They said something else, but I said not the best. Strikers did more. This is the first time the fighters aren't the frontline damage dealers.
That's one of the things I remember not liking at all immediately about here when I heard about that.
Yes. So basically the fighter gets up there, they make people fight them. You can't get away from me. They have aggro and stuff like that, like they would in a video game. And I'm not knocking them for the style. I don't want to play a character like that. You know, I did that once, and I tried to be an upfront attack guy one time and playing I played 4 a few times, and whoever I was playing with was like, dude, that's not how you play that character. What? I'm a fighter. Nah, don't we just do these defenses, do this, do that. I'm like, okay. I was playing a warlord, and I thought I can get up and mix up. He goes, oh no, you're a commander and you defend yourself. I'm like, oh, okay. Warlord that doesn't fight. Anyway, power source was martial. You become a master of combat through endless hours of practice, determination, and your own sheer physical toughness, but you can't do real damage. It doesn't say that. I added that. Key abilities were strength, dex, wisdom, con. Added wisdom. That's interesting. They gave you armor proficiencies and weapon proficiencies. Look like all the same stuff. Bonus to defenses. Fighter fortitude minor. I'm not sure what that means. Hit points at first level was 10 plus con score. You read that right, not con modifier. And 16 con, 26 hit points. Hit points per level gain was moderate. I don't know what that means. Healing surges 9 plus con, and then they had a variety of builds. So I stopped there. Who cares? It was 4th edition, and you know the game was different. And so basically, the big takeaways in 4E, you were the wall, you were the tank, like in World of Warcraft. You defend, you block, you do a little bit of do some damage. People can't get away from you without taking some damage. Can't attack your foes. You're just like you're magnetly sucking these bad guys towards you, I guess is the idea.
Tank is kind of a misnomer though, because tanks have a big gun.
Oh,
that big gun does big damage.
Big damage, yeah. You know, and I guess they wanted to have roles, and you know, they wanted the rogue and the ranger to be the striker guy to do the big damage, but not have good defenses. I guess it makes it a teamwork game.
A different one. It's not. Yeah. It's not like it wasn't teamwork before. No,
but it's very. Everybody has their role laid out for them. Don't try to go outside the lines, which I think is a fail. But you can make an argument. 3-Point Axe, your favorite version, 3rd edition. The problem was there was no defined roles. When you got into Pathfinder, I'm going to build a wizard who can tank. You can do that. I'm going to build a rogue who's tricky and cast spells. You could do that. You know, I'm going to do a ranged fighter, and I'm going to be the baddest archer you've ever seen. The ranger can't touch me.
Right.
You could do that, you know?
So fourth edition said, these are the roles you should play. And
Yeah,
we have
and
decided it for you.
And I don't hate that as a design mechanic. I just hate it as a play. And I don't want to play it. It's not for me. That doesn't sound good. And really, third edition doesn't sound good either. So, I mean, either one of them are really, floating my boat where you can do whatever. It's like we got 6 players. What's their role? Well, they're all whatever they want to be. So you can build these weird combos that end up being a certain sort of, because I think every character should have a role in the party, something that they do the best. And I think that's what fourth edition's intention was, but it turned out super bland and just not to my taste.
Right.
So yeah.
Yep,
Anyway, Go ahead. Fighter, fifth edition.
Fifth edition. Now I have played a fifth edition fighter several times.
You have.
And if it wasn't for the fact that my character got some special rules for items and whatnot, he would really suck. So, I mean, within the game, maybe not, but in my opinion, it'd be pretty boring. Anyway, the current edition, fifth edition, perhaps the most diverse class of characters in the worlds of Dungeons and Dragons: questing knights, conquering overlords, royal champions, elite foot soldiers, hardened mercenaries, and bandit kings. As fighters, they all share an unparalleled mastery with weapons and armor, and a thorough knowledge of the skills of combat. And they are well acquainted with death, both meeting it out and staring it defiantly in the face.
That's a fun description.
It's a fun description.
Mm-hmm.
Hit dice, D10 per fighter level. Hit points at first level is 10 plus your con modifier. Hit points at higher levels is a D10 or 6 plus your constitution modifier per fighter level after first. So
you could just take 6 or you could roll.
Yeah. Your proficiencies are all armor and shields, weapons, simple weapons and martial weapons, several skills, no tool proficiencies as a base.
Right.
You're saving through, you get proficiency with fifth edition, you get a proficiency modifier in several things.
Your saves, yeah.
Saves are strength and con. You choose 2 skills from acrobatics, animal handling, athletics, history, insight, intimidation, perception, and survival.
Right.
Fighters choose fighting styles, martial archetype features such as extra attacks at certain levels, second wind, and action surges to make them a bit more unique.
Yep. So you can pick some, be the archery guy, be the battle master, be this dude, be that dude.
Right.
So
for me, playing the fighter several times, I almost always forgot to use the maneuver points.
Oh yeah, you have maneuver points, tons of them.
And
Yeah,
I almost always forgot.
Right.
And I suppose if I'd played more, it might have made more of a difference. But something that I noticed playing a 5th edition fighter, as compared to fighters of I've played fighter in Pathfinder, played fighters in 3rd edition, I've played fighters in 1st edition, and so for 5th edition, and it might just be because of the way it's designed, you don't do any damage. You dink and you dink. So the most you do per attack is like my character had wielding a greatsword, it's 2d6 plus strength modifier.
Right.
And it does not change.
Yep. Unless
you have a magic weapon, so it goes up to at most 3, because you can get a +3 weapon, but you'll never get one because you're not supposed to ever get one until you're like 17th level.
Right.
So and you won't get, and if you like low level, you'll never get one because you're not supposed to have magic weapons like 10th level. So according to their suggested tables, you're not supposed to even see a permanent magic item until close to 10th level.
Right.
So, and that's supposed to be how it works. I get that. So, but to me, you do low hit points against things that have a lot of hit points.
Yep.
And I guess what it's supposed to engender is everybody does their little 5 to 8 points of damage. You go around the table, and then, eventually you kill the thing.
I don't think it's quite that, but because there's combos, but the fighter does feel like an afterthought in 5th edition. I think the spellcasters can do some interesting combos. I played last week in Philip's game, and with a couple of skilled players, Greg and Dave, they did some pretty sweet combos of spells that made life pretty miserable for the foes. The fighter, his action surges, his multiple attacks around. I mean, Butch, your guy, your 13th level dude, he's got what, 3 attacks around?
Yeah, he's 13th level.
Which, you know, it's all the same bonus. So you're hitting pretty consistently.
Yes.
So it's not really 2d6 plus, and you got to forget your Storm Giant belt.
Right. Per attack.
Per attack. Each attack is a little weak, but if you hit all 3 times, that's 66 plus 15. That's nothing to sneeze at. The game was built to, I think they want everybody, you want to have everybody have something they can do, especially in combat, and they focused on combat. Everybody can do some damage. I don't think fighters suck in 5e. I just think they just feel underwhelming compared to a lot of the other classes.
I like the feel of the maneuver with he's a battle master, so he has maneuver points or whatever they're called. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But you get a resource, a few points, and you can spend them to do things. And they're interesting things, tripping and whatnot, getting a bonus on your attack or bonus on your damage for 1 attack, or 1 attack you can get a bonus or a bonus to hit or a bonus to damage, however you spent the point. You can intimidate, and there's different things, and it's interesting. I just mostly forget. But
yeah. Well, Joe and I are not. Go ahead.
That being said, I still, if you stripped away the extra junk that my character has and just made him a more typical, and he had somewhere like a 16 or 17 strength, maybe a 20, probably not. I would probably doing half the damage I'm doing at this point.
Yeah, because your Storm Giant belt's tremendous.
Yeah. So he would be doing 2d6 plus 4 or 5, maybe 6. Magic weapon. He might have a +1 weapon, maybe.
Right.
And it's just, I mean, granted, 3 attacks, and you can action surge to have 6 attacks one time. And then you got to, I think it's you get that back at a short rest?
Short rest, I think so. Dude, it's pretty boss. It's not bad.
Yeah. For 1 round. You can be really good 1 round. And hopefully that would take out the bad guy.
You did. I mean, you would really hurt them. I mean, you would hurt almost anybody. Because armor classes suck. Monsters' armor classes generally suck.
Yeah.
And there are plenty of monsters that are like CR15 that have armor classes like 21.
Right.
So, yeah.
But his bonus to hit isn't going to be that much higher than the cleric's bonus to hit, depending on how they.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have a cleric and with a rogue or bard, some other character who would be in combat, and they could have a close to the same strength. It doesn't have to be equal, 1 or 2 less, and it wouldn't be that different.
Here's what they've done. It's just like 13th Age. Every character has his modifier and his attack that's good for him. Clerics and wizards have spell attacks. Rogues have their sneaky stuff. And they get their proficiency with this. And the fighters get this. I'm not an expert, but everybody can kind of do a thing based off their main stat.
Sure.
So each character is roughly equally likely to be successful at the attack that they're good at by letting wisdom modify cleric spell attacks and letting intelligence modify wizard spell attacks. In pure melee, though, I'm telling you, I played a 10th level cleric. He was nothing like you. Not even close. And I had him with no magic items, and trust me, I sucked. I did a D8 plus 2. That was my melee attack. And so I was not built for melee. I had I had cool spells that could do some sweet stuff, but I didn't have anything that let me do like melee. So the fighter is the best meleeist. Now they say the paladin, I don't know. Neither Joe nor I are expert rules masters of 5e. Yeah. So, but I kind of want to jump down to that 4th question and kind of to wrap this up a little bit. So of all these editions of the fighter, which version is your favorite and why?
Actually, I think it might be the Beckme fighter if I had a chance to play it some and see.
It's the most enticing right now, is what you're
Right,
saying.
right.
I'm 100% with you. And that's the reason. And the smash attack, all the other things they get, the multiple attacks. And there's something about that that's very attractive.
Yeah,
And,
third edition and Pathfinder and stuff like that, you get to have a lot of hit points and a giant bonus to hit. But not much.
Do a lot of
else.
damage.
Yeah,
Huh?
not much else.
Yeah. No, you can do some cheesy stuff with, like, if you multi-class and pick certain feats, you can do some cheese ball things with your maneuvers where you're like, you disarm anybody that gets near you, you trip everybody that gets in 15 feet. I mean, you know, if you allow third-party books, it gets insane. But I think I'm with you. Beckme is the most enticing right now. My second favorite would probably be second edition. I'd be the most intrigued by that, and then third edition, some version of third. I'm changing every time we go through every podcast.
Yeah.
But I'm starting.
It's hard. It's really hard to get a real.
Yeah.
This is my favorite, and then you think about, oh well, I guess that one is.
We could say our least favorite. I think.
Fourth edition.
Fourth edition.
Yeah.
All right.
It's kind of unfair since we've not played it, but just looking at them,
I played it. I played it a couple times, but not enough to really. We're giving unfair evaluations.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So what about the adages about the fighter, especially in the old days? Meat shield, easiest class to play. Did you like to play them back in the old days?
They were okay. Here's the thing, though. Somehow, it switched from the fighter being the easiest to the barbarian.
In some, yep. Mm-hmm.
Because that's what they say.
Right.
But being the meat shield, sometimes, well, this is the thing. Early in the older games, the lower levels, the fighter is a little bit safer to play, a little bit better, in some ways maybe more interesting because you can survive easier.
He's more OP initially.
But as the game drags on, they become less interesting because they don't have anything besides swinging their sword a lot of the times.
Mm-hmm.
So it can seem boring.
Right.
And
your mechanics don't change. Grab a D20 roll.
Right. And even fifth edition, they don't change much over the course of their career.
No. And you could give credit to third. You definitely can.
Yeah.
You can see fighters be drastically different, not just in damage, but you could build weird disarm masters, I said, trip masters, grapplers. You could do a variety of things. And if you do an Eldritch Knight type, if you do prestige classes back in 3.0, you could really get weird combos, that were very fightery, but do magical stuff, I'm thinking of the Book of Incarnum near the end of the 3.5 run.
Or Book of Nine Swords.
Book of Nine Swords, you got like anime type fighters flying through the air with trails of fire behind them doing damage. So, which I wasn't terribly fond of, but I mean, you could do that. It was kind of stupid actually, but then I have a bias. My biases are showing. So, but as we think about the fighter, it seemed as the additions waned on, and as you said, even at higher levels, as you played higher level and, first, second edition, whatever, they would lose their luster. There was always a debate about the quadratic wizard and linear fighter. What did you think about that debate?
I think that comparing them that way was maybe exaggerating the wizard a little bit, but it's not wrong.
I don't think so either. I mean, the wizards just get
better.
Yeah, and honestly, I've gone back and forth. I was everything's too powerful for the wizard. That's how I was.
Mm-hmm.
Then, and early on, dude, we, us, JD and Ryan and everybody, fighters were king. If you recall, everybody played fighters but you.
Right.
They were fighters or rangers. Nobody wanted to play a thief. I think JR played a thief a little bit, but it was really fighters, cavaliers, paladins, stuff like that. And then, you play the wizard. And for the longest time, they would just be, because they would be so much better than you early on. You had to struggle. And then when you finally get 7th level and you drop a lightning bolt or pull out a fire shield, it'd be like, oh, that's too good. It's like, dude, I paid my dues. Let me single-handedly kill that red dragon, So it's interesting that I think I've come back to, even though, in 3rd edition, people call him the God Mage, the God Wizard was the best class. And in Pathfinder, any kind of caster guy was. In 5e, I still maintain the casters are. Can't speak for 4th. I think it's okay. If from the old school view, it was okay because they start out, they struggle. The struggle is the glory, right? They got to get that struggle, get up there. Then once they cast a fireball, ooh, I'm a lot better. They cast fire shield, they cast teleport. Man, things are changing now. Now I'm the man, I'm kicking butt and taking names. But back in the old day, you still need to be protected.
Sure do.
I mean,
so if you turn the corner and a wizard and a fighter were toe to toe, that wizard better run.
I'll be honest.
Almost every level.
Dude, if you were a 12th level wizard and there was a 5th level specialized fighter in 2nd edition, and you turn the corner and you try to stand toe to toe with him, he'll cut you down in 2 rounds.
Oh yeah,
2 rounds, you'll be dead. And I tell you, what I don't like about the newer editions, 3rd and beyond. Remember my problem with the 5-foot step in 3rd edition. In 5th edition is even worse. You can literally just cast spells when they're in your face. And one of our favorite games, 13th Age, is like that. There is no AOs. Not that I love AOs, but there's no consequences of casting spells with someone right in your face.
Well, 13th Age, they have close quarter spells for that. If it's not a close quarter spell, then there is some kind of thing. I don't know what it is, but
right. Well, there's no disruption of spells.
Right.
And I don't necessarily like disruption, but I wouldn't mind where I don't want your spell to be lost, but I wouldn't mind if in melee you got disrupted.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You have no chance to interrupted. Oh crap, I can't cast it. Or you wouldn't even try, but because I don't know what the consequence would be otherwise. I mean, especially in 13th Age, we have wizards. Don't care if they get rolled up on. Don't matter. In 2nd edition, it mattered. You did not want to be closed on by the ogre.
It's one of the things that I like 13th Age, but it's one of the things where they've made the characters, they've made the combat situation very predictable.
Yep.
So what someone rolls up on me, I know they're not going to do that much, so much damage that I can't take a hit or two and maybe run away. So it's really predictable. In earlier editions of D&D, sure, the wizard might have powerful spells,
right?
But he had no hit points and generally didn't have an armor class that was worth talking about. So you could easily have an ogre mage that was invisible and flying, sneaking up and cut your head off.
I can't imagine someone doing that. That sounds horrible.
But you had to that's why you had to have teamwork. So in 3rd edition, I think it started with 3rd edition, they made the wizard a little bit too self-reliant. So had too many spells that if you got one of them off, you were pretty well protected and you didn't need to really worry about being protected by the rest of the party.
I think all the classes in 5th edition are too self-reliant.
Yeah.
Because when you look at them, I watched Dave Sorcerer, and smartly would just take the dodge action on her turn if she wasn't going to cast a spell, and you get disadvantage attacking her. That's significant.
Oh yeah.
And so when I think about that, and in 13th Age, every class is self-reliant. And not that I don't want the wizard always at the need for a fighter. At high level of D&D, if you prep, now you say turn the corner. Now, if the wizard's prepped, the wizard gets his time to be Batman.
Yeah.
Repair. I don't care if the fighter's 20th level and that wizard's 12th. He's in trouble.
Right. Because that fighter's going to swing and you're going to have stone skin. You're like, sorry, that didn't help you any. And now I'm going to kill you.
That's one. Oh, so that's 20 damage. Well, that's one stone skin off my 15.
Yeah.
Now here. Oh, and I had fire shield on too. So go ahead and take half that damage. Sweet move. And then next, okay, I'm gonna do some kind of crazy thing and teleport away. Or I've already precast fly. Let me fly away. You get a swing. Ooh, you hit me for a stone skin. Oh, look, and you get half
more
damage.
Fire shield.
Oh, and now look, I'm 60 feet away from you. The fun's about to begin.
Feeble mind,
polymorph, fireball, suck it. I mean, that's just the way it would be, And the wizard, and no matter how good those saving throws are, and they're going to be good, that 1 or 2 is coming. It's coming.
that is one of the things about that game. I think that the saving throws are too good.
Yeah.
Too fast. They get really good, really fast for the fighter.
Agreed. I've looked at the tables; they do, and stupidly so, because there's that's something we're going to experiment with when we play old school. First of all, that's one of the reasons I like Swords and Wizardry. I feel like I like the one saving throw. And the way it's set up, you get modified based on the kind of attack a fighter gets a bonus, and a wizard gets a bonus, and wizards can imply penalties. I think the single saving throw might pay off better because then we can control it better. But who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
So moving on, because we were talking back to fighter, I think. I thought the fighter too. They talked a lot about third edition fighter being only good for dipping to get specialization.
Yeah.
A few your feats. I think the 4E fighter sounded extremely boring as a defender. Lack of cool things besides hitting things with their swords. I don't know, other than third edition Pathfinder, of any of these versions of the game where that's any different. All the fighter does is hit things with a sword.
Well, that's their job is fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So and warfare. So I could see them having, if they were going to have something else, it would be something along the lines of tactical elements. I don't know how that would play out, but if they had some sort of tactical thing that they could do to buff the party members, maybe be able to give them a bonus on initiative or something, who knows?
Or even this, as simple as like take something from the Tale of the Manicore, which everybody should listen to, where whenever you level up, you get to roll a D6, and if you get a 6 on every stat, it goes up by 1. I think it'd be neat to do something like that for the fighter as they get higher levels, command bonuses where their intelligence and their charisma and their wisdom goes up, not to become competitive with the wizard, but it'd be nice if you're a fighter to have like a 13 or 14 charisma and maybe like an 11 or 12 intelligence and maybe a 13 or 14 wisdom and be someone that can be a tactical minded and hand some benefits out. Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the problem with the fighter. He's a little too just, but
yeah. So
I've met many people that like to do that, like to play the fighter though.
Yeah. But if you add that into having the domain stuff, I think that the early edition concept of the domain, not the cleric domain, but domain, having your keep, castle, body of mercenaries, bodyguard 2, one of those bodyguards could be a wizard.
Sure, that's what I was thinking. Well, you should be. If you become like a king or a baron, you want an advisor. And who do you want to advise you? A cleric or a wizard? A wizard on things magical, a cleric on wisdom and the common people.
Or a bard.
Or a bard to sing songs of your exploits.
Yeah, tell you how brave you are or not.
Right. I think bravely run away. I think that's one thing that people, I feel like that's something we've lost, and people got their panties in a bunch, especially in the high end of third edition. I remember the big thing before 3.5 and Pathfinder, fighter sucks. And I kept thinking, boring, okay, if you want to say attacking things is boring. Some people, that's plenty, that's all they want to do. They want to kill things.
Right.
But let's give them that. But they didn't suck. Even at high levels, he's not the wizard. But dude, are you kidding me? Can you imagine? I mean, I've seen Butch at 11th level in Pathfinder. He was a terror.
And in the earlier editions of the game, they had access to magic items that no other class or race had. You know, fighters. They had access to a lot of magic items. You know, like the girdles before third edition, where everybody could use stat boosting items. Fighter, it was cleric fighter and thief on lots of those things.
Right.
And there are a lot of fighter exclusive things. All the magic weapons that had cool abilities, fighters were going to get those more than anybody else.
We're going back to old D&D.
Yeah.
I don't want to undo the new stuff. I'm going back to pre-third edition. We're going to do something. We'll manipulate it, but to me, with the fighter alone convinces me. What are your opinions on the subclasses or variants that came up, you know, in first and second, Cavalier, Paladin, Ranger, Barbarian, Knight, all those things? We had more experience with the Paladin, Cavalier, Ranger, Barbarian. Do you like them being their own class?
Yes, I vacillate. Sometimes I think it'd be easier to have fighter, and then you choose things that make you a Cavalier or Paladin or Ranger or whatever. But honestly, it's probably easier to make them just their own thing. Except this thing. A Knight is not going to be a first level anything. You're not going to be first level and be a Knight. And I think the same should go for a Paladin.
In first edition, that was yes. You're not going to be. I think you should have to progress as a fighter to become a paladin.
You have to prove yourself to be
agreed.
worthy to be paladin or not.
Paladin.
Yeah, I think that's better. Cavalier is
Well,
the same thing. Cavalier is just a
like,
synonym for knight anyway, really.
Yeah, I thought it was fascinating in first edition. Remember, we used to talk about it. We thought the titles were neat in the leveling process. You become a knight errant. You become what we would say chevalier, but it was a French word of I think it's the French word for cavalier.
Yeah, same
chevalier, SCH.
Horseman.
Yeah, and so it was like horseman. Yeah, and you got all that. And it's like I don't even ride a horse, but the idea is you're becoming good. People are looking at you. The skills you're developing. You're a 5th level fighter. You've been riding a horse since 1st level. People will look at you on that horse and go, "Dude, he's got that down."
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, if you get what I'm saying, he's wow, what a horseman he is.
Right.
You know, and that was I think there's something charming about that. Gosh, something has drawn me back to that. And I don't think it's just nostalgia now. I think it's things that I would like to see happen at my table. And I think old school is more likely to get me to make that happen.
Right.
Though I don't want to quit at 4th level. I listed some what I thought would be some fun variants for a fighter, and we kind of already talked about this, but I think 13th Age maneuver, their flexible attacks are cool.
Yeah.
In that game, 13th Age, when a fighter attacks, you have to look at your roll, your unmodified roll. If it's even, you can do certain sort of things like power attack or other things, or you can do press on if you get an odd roll. These different powers that you have that match up to odds or even rolls. I think that's kind of fun, and that mixes it up a little bit more than just hitting things with your sword. I also like the fact that in 13th Age, the character level is what affects your skill, is what affects your damage, not the weapon. So a 4th level fighter does 4d8 damage with his longsword. A 9th level fighter does 98 damage with a longsword, with a plain longsword. And you said this before back in old D&D. A 9th level fighter picks up a stick. You probably better start running.
Right.
Because he's going to beat you sideways with it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that's kind of interesting. I don't know how that would work. That would take big mechanical changes in an OD&D game of some sort, or 1st or 2nd. But I do kind of like it. So it's not the equipment; it's the man. Not the that's part of it.
Right. So the caveat to that is different size weapons. So your dagger is still going to be a D4, and greatsword's going to be whatever the greatsword is, 2d6 or a D10. In 13th Age, all weapons do a single die, so it's a D10. But yeah.
But the fighter wielding whatever his fightery weapon is, he can call it a longsword, he can call it an axe, he can call it whatever.
Yeah, one-handed weapons. I really don't like. I like some distinctions between weapons.
Yeah,
but if you think about BECMI and their charts for the specialist or mastery, whatever it's called, every weapon does different things. But it's right. So I don't know how I would marry up that idea with this idea, which is I don't like 50 different swords doing slightly different things.
Right. And the drawback to this method too, though, is people could be like, my halfling's wielding a 6-foot sword. Because you said I could describe it how I want. That's anime dumbness, in my opinion. But I think there's probably a middle ground, a grouping we could do that would be a little more granular than 13th Age, but not BECMI.
Right.
The BECMI fighter maneuvers, again, I already mentioned they sound fun. I would love to add on to those if I could. A few more options, not a lot. I think 4E is too many options. You got all these weird powers that do all these weird things. And 13th Age, sometimes even with flexible attacks, you can get to analysis paralysis because there's 45 million of them when you're 9th level or whatever. But some would be nice.
Right.
Have you thought of have you ever crossed your mind other sorts of variants of a fighter you would do, or that you've seen maybe in other games that you liked?
No, I think the 13th Age fighter has some of the things I would like you're saying with the flexible attacks. That one idea is probably all you need to make the BECMI fighter complete, really.
Yeah, and stream down some of those weapon groups
and the tactical thing. So it would be just a little just a little tinkering and probably make it fine.
Right. Listen, give me a second. It's with the 13th age flexible attacks. And we said Mary with the maneuvers of Beckme and weapon groups. And what else did you say at the end?
The tactical thing.
Yeah, the tactical ability books.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
something
we could do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I think the one thing from 3rd edition that my fighter accessed right before we stopped playing it was the or Pathfinder was the ability to coax magical abilities out of a weapon.
You like that?
I thought it was interesting. I mean, it would be a high level ability, but it may not. It may be too much for this. What we're talking about.
I think it'd be interesting if you said a higher level fighter, especially if we're going to play Beckme to 36th level. When your fighter reaches 24th, he's like, "Yo, Bolsavar wizard dude, we've been running around for 24 levels, and I've been watching you when you make these items. Tell me if I got this right." He goes, "Yeah, you're doing it right." So if I took that ingredient you just made and I slathered it all over my +3 sword, and I started hitting it with this hammer that you enchanted years ago and working it, won't that make it have some like teleport abilities? I mean, didn't that what you do? So essentially that's what I did. I put a teleport spell inside that hammer. And you start, I'm just trying to say you could be talking this and that could be the way a fighter could learn some cool tricks to be able to become the smith guy that makes his weapons a little more magical. I think that would be a fun thing to do within a campaign. If I were writing a rule set, I would make that loosey-goosey for the DM to decide to do. Yeah. Any other final thoughts on the fighter, or you think we kind of beat this dead horse?
Hold on a moment.
Okay. Houston, we may have a problem. Or were we under attack?
All right. No, I had I had a tab open. Could you hear that?
No, I heard a little click, that's all.
Yeah. One of my tabs on one of my browser windows. First, I bumped my keyboard and it started a video. So because in my headphones, I'm hearing you talk and then this video. Anyway.
So anything you wanted to add, Asad? Any final thoughts on the fighter?
No, I think we covered it really well.
All right. Yeah, sweet. Okay, cool. Let's move on to like it, love it, or leave it. So again, a chance here to get to know your host. It's going to be some, ticks in our geek card, probably. I think all the ones I'm asking are going to be geeky for Mr. Joseph. I'm going to ask him 3 questions. He's going to ask me 3 questions. I believe I'm going to go first this time. And mine are more in the statement of just a phrase. And then I want your opinion on it, whether you like it, you love it, or you leave it. And we'll discuss there. Are you ready, Joe?
I'm ready.
Okay. Number 1, fan fiction.
Oh, boy. Some of it is okay.
Okay.
But there's so much of it that is total garbage.
Yes.
Or demented.
Yes.
That when someone says fan fiction, I just turn away. I don't even want to look at it.
Yeah, I'm generally turned away. If we had a friend that said, "Hey, I wrote some fan fiction I'd like you to read," I'm pretty sure they'd be like, they know that don't want to see a bunch of pornography. I don't want to see weirdo stuff. I would read it for them. But for me, yeah, I'm the same way. I'd probably just say pass. Yeah. Okay, second one, cosplay.
Oh, you took a tip from me because I asked you about cosplay.
Oh, did you one time?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I forgot.
Yeah. So cosplay. It's okay for other people.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see the interesting costumes people put together, but that's about it.
Yeah, I would say for me, I like it well enough. I don't remember if it's okay, but I'm more like, I just like to see the skill in the costumes, especially when they make their own.
Yeah.
Now, I don't go looking for it, but if I see it like a Gen Con, I'll be like, dude, that's homemade Thor costume. That looks phenomenal. But usually it's like total sexed up stuff. And I'm like, I don't need that. So, but yeah, so yours, would you say like it? So fan fiction's leave it, right?
Yeah.
Cosplay is like it, maybe leave it.
It's okay. Like it. Not love it, but like it. I like to look at it. I don't really participate.
Right. Me neither. What about the last one? Doctor Who.
Doctor Who. Doctor Who. I like some of Doctor Who. Some of it's a little wonky. I remember they had Eccleston. His run had some goofiness to it that I didn't really care for.
Mm-hmm.
But I liked him as the Doctor. He was fine.
He's actually one Doctor I've actually seen a whole episode of.
Oh, okay.
The mannequins.
Oh, the mannequins. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the one guy's name.
Tenet?
The Doctor. No, my favorite Doctor is the one with the scarf, the long scarf.
Oh,
endlessly long.
Too bad Jeff's not here. Tom Baker.
Tom Baker. Yeah, I think he's my favorite.
I don't know why I know these names. I don't even watch Doctor Who.
Right. So, yeah, I like. Yeah, I think I like him the best of all the Doctors. I like Doctor Who as a thing.
Yes.
Except the last few years. The last few years they got woke and
right
became worthless.
Gotcha. All right. Your turn, bud. Hit me.
All right. Dragons.
Oh, dragons. Iconic. Love them. They're fabulous. I don't care if it's Chinese dragons. I don't care if it's, red dragon, if it's Smaug. I think dragons are cool. I like the iconography of dragons. I like movies about dragons. I like books about dragons. I like magic with dragons. I love some dragons.
Yes, dragons are cool.
Dragons are super cool.
Favorite Spock?
Oh, Leonard Nimoy.
Yeah.
I think the new guy is doing great. If he's still playing him, I don't know what his name is.
I don't think they're going there anymore.
Oh, they're not. They're leaving.
I think he's done.
Oh, that's a shame. He was channeling.
He was fine. Yeah.
He was fine. But yeah, my favorite Spock is probably Spock from, I'll get down and dirty on this one. Get down the nitty gritty. My favorite Spock is the one with the whales. Star Trek 4.
Oh, because he was kind of a Spock who woke up and he was trying to figure himself out.
Yeah, he didn't get woke, but he was awakened from he'd just been brought back from number 3 from dying. And I liked him trying to get the cussing down when he was in the bus, and it was funny. That was my favorite specific Spock was that one.
For him, that was cool. But I thought everybody else not understanding cuss words. I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, in the future, we all speak perfectly and don't use
Yeah. No.
language.
Yeah. We forgot that these words were in English. I don't think so. So stupid. But him struggling with it was great.
Gotcha.
Game snack.
Game snack. Oh.
If you had to choose one, what would it be?
One snack. Okay. At the game table, my favorite snack.
You can even include things you can't eat anymore.
Oh, yeah, because of my gluten stupidity.
Yeah.
My body is dumb with gluten. Celiacs. Dang, dude.
They don't taste different.
No, they don't. Dude, it's going to be a close call between Twizzlers, which I can't have anymore, and something I don't have very much, but I love it. I wish we had more of it, was jerky. Beef jerky.
Oh, yeah.
Chips of any sort are good. So let's go chips. It's more general. I like chips. But yeah, Twizzlers would have been my favorite, but now it's probably chips or beef jerky.
Well, Twizzlers became our kind of go-to snack.
It did.
If someone didn't throw down a giant bag of Twizzlers at the beginning of the game, we were all like, we all suck. Time out. We got to go get some.
Twizzlers. That was the deal that was required. Yeah, absolutely. All right, cool. All right. Good deal. Okay. What'd you think of the next segment, baby? Sticking with Savage Worlds?
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know as much about the setting.
Right, but you did play in the campaign.
I did play in the campaign.
With like Corporal Punishment, right?
Yeah.
With your Captain America guy take on that. Not really. So Necessary Evil is the campaign setting for Savage Worlds. It's an older one. I forgot when it first came out. But basically the heroes were hornswoggled and mostly killed by an alien invasion. So the superhero setting and all the superheroes on Earth, this alien invasion came down, an alien group came down, pretended to be peaceful. They were going to have this ceremony where they all greeted everybody and be cool. And they attacked everybody and killed almost all the heroes. So the aliens are controlling the world. And then there was a smart Earth supervillain who sees the opportunity to organize the other villains and attempt to take back the Earth. They called it their playground. The villains weren't willing to share. So in this game, the super villains of the world, since the heroes are dead, are taking a guerrilla type sneak attack approach to defeating the aliens. So you play villains who are kind of having to be good in quotation marks.
Right.
The PCs play these criminals, villains who are taking the fight to these aliens called the Visori, and they work as a cell of this mastermind. There's kind of a Doctor Doom type dude. I could give spoilers, but I won't, Jason. There's spoilers involved there, but I'm explaining the evil mastermind. And the whole premise is to take the world back from these evil villains. And there was a plot point campaign, and we played it from it started out at the novice level. We played to right at heroic. You guys made it to the heroic tip with those characters. We did have a little flub, but we played it till then, and it was really fun. Superhero action just felt right. The characters could be a little less noble because they were technically villains. I thought the campaign itself could lead to a redemption arc, because most of the villains, you end up doing mostly good stuff and helping people, and people start thanking you. And so I could see a villain being like, dude, I can get used to people liking me.
Right.
You know, and lots of cool short adventures in there. It was my first experiment with a superhero game that I really, really enjoyed. And I think Savage Worlds, especially after playing at Cabin Con, my own superhero version, it is my go-to game for.
They do it good. They do it right.
Yeah. I loved how our personal campaign went. We played that one summer. We played like, if not every week, every 2 weeks. And we played a lot, like 6 hours or more every time. And we got through the whole plot point campaign and had a heck of a time, saved the earth. And so it was really fun. Did you think of anything that you really liked about the setting itself, or?
Well, like before, what is great about Necessary Evil is Savage Worlds treatment.
Right.
The ability to, I mean, the way the whole thing is set up with the supers, and I'm not really sure. I can't really put my finger on it right at the moment, but I think that just the way the gameplay comes about as a result of how
mechanics work.
The mechanics work, it makes it real fun.
It does. And I think it just feels like a comic book story. Yeah, I think as far as cons go, I think our first pass through of that campaign setting, I had the characters build. I told them to build more focused on story and lower powered PCs, because I didn't really understand how Necessary Evil was going to work. And they got, basically after the second or third adventure, they got completely wiped. They just
I thought it was the very first scenario.
Maybe it was the first scenario. You guys got completely wiped. You just weren't powerful enough. And I said, you know what? Let's just go with 4 color levels. And it worked out great. You guys kicked butt, took names. I'm not a big fan of the evil PCs, even though, because you could, some people were actually straight up evil. You could be evil guys. I was okay with less good, more mercenary. I would have liked more souped up opponents. After you guys got to about high seasoned or veteran, you guys were kind of kicking the crap out of everything.
Yeah.
And that's not bad, but it got a little, the only good fight we had once you guys started peeking into veteran, the only good fight was the final fight.
Yeah.
Which I won't spoil it, but it was against a super powerful opponent. And you guys still took him out fairly quickly.
I think how I played evil, because by this time, up to not too long before this, I was okay playing evil characters, but not too long before starting this campaign, I pretty much said I don't really want to play evil. But in this, you could kind of pretend to be evil and then just say your character is wanting to become better.
Yes.
So this is a chance for redemption, like you're saying. So that part made it easier to play Necessary Evil. And I mean, you could just lean into being evil. And when you weren't fighting the bad guys, you went and, murdered people if you really wanted to.
But with that, the city is covered by a big bubble. The aliens have protected, has got the city in a bubble, and you're in it's like a New York type place. And if you do that, the people are already oppressed.
Yeah.
If you also are ripping them off and fighting the villains, you're going to lose a lot of cred. You won't get as much help, and you might find yourself stuck in the middle of the street where there's a whole Visori, that's alien strike team, and it's just you. Whereas if you were more friendly to the local, shopkeeper, he might hide you.
Right.
So yeah, that's that was an interesting thing. I think you guys were kind of careful. You didn't get too crazy with the evil, and so you kind of knew that, hey,
Yeah.
you kind of have to play the heroes of the story,
Right.
even though you're necessarily evil, which I love the name of it, Necessary Evil. And they've got so that was that story. There's also what's it called? Necessary Evil Breakout. I have the book of that. That's a second story set in a different city and it's meant to be it is meant to be street level heroes. It's a shorter campaign where you're still on Earth. And now that they've redone Savage Worlds with Adventure Edition, I have heard they are going to kickstart the Necessary Evil and have the third part where you actually take the fight to the alien homeworld.
That might be worth getting.
I think so too.
Even though we were kind of like, I don't know about Kickstarter, but we could at least wait till it comes out of Kickstarter and just buy it normal.
I would kind of like to play Necessary Evil again. Just start with the Breakout and then go to the one we played before and then go to the third one. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was good. The setting itself is pretty rich and evocative. It's pretty 4-color, but there's death. It's not one of those where you don't die. I mean, you can get killed. So it's not really meant to be 4-color heroes, but you can still be that way. Did you wish you'd played a Doctor Strange type once you fully understood how the mechanics work for the Super Sorcerer?
I don't know. It's been a while, so I'm having to.
Super boss, dude. They're crazy.
Yeah.
Because like every time you get a power, you get all these powers to start with, and you have access to all of them, and it doesn't matter what their rank is.
Right.
So
I don't.
Pretty good.
From what I remember, I liked my character pretty well.
You were tough, yeah. You played his guy. Corporal Punishment was kind of a ex-military guy, more of a mercenary, not a good dude. Captain America in the sense that he fought kind of with his fists, a little Punisher type with guns. Then Josh played a War Machine type guy, Blitzkrieg. Mark Anthony, he played 2 characters. One of them got killed, and then he played a guy that I think threw lightning with his hands, and then Jeff played the guy who was like a ninja type dude. He could go intangible and invisible at the high levels. He was tough. And there was somebody else, I think. Oh, who was the guy?
Was my wife playing?
No. He's played this a little bit. Henry K played with us, and he played some kind of, I forget what his character was. Wait for a little while.
Before? This might have been before I was married.
Yeah, I think it was. So no, you were married. We're playing it when I was living on East. So yeah, it was. I think so. But we just played a lot. It was a summer. It was a big long summer campaign, and we had a good time. And remember the one time, it wasn't the final scene, but we had a big battle when you guys came in, and I had my full table with all my minis and all that crap built up for the city. You guys walked in and were like, holy crap. I'm like, yeah, the poop's about to hit the fan. And you guys were all over the city, each one doing different things. And you guys were veteran by then, so you could hold your own, and you were kicking the crap out of the sorry strike teams by yourself. That was pretty cool.
It was.
Yeah. So how would you rank this bad boy? Or do you have any more cons or criticisms? Or
I don't think so. I think we covered it pretty good. Probably XL.
Yeah, me too. I would absolutely run a campaign with that anytime. And like you said, I would love to revisit that and play. Maybe we should do Breakout and Necessary Evil again here soon to ramp up for the release. Who knows?
That'd be fun.
Who knows? That would be fun. All right, dude. We're going to have a negative plane segment after the end credits. So if you want to stick around and listen to that, I got a couple things I want to mention. Joe has one thing he wants to kind of rant a little bit about, a little frustration, but we're going to bring in, we want to thank you for supporting our show. Please help get the word out. Check out our website at www.biggestgeekispodcast.com. If you're inclined to support, hit the tab. But more importantly, share with your friends. Let them know that we're around on YouTube and also on Odyssey, and of course the podcast, wherever you get your podcatcher, Apple iTunes or whatever. Our email has changed for those who've been listening for a while. It's now thegeeks@biggestgeekispodcast.com. Please drop any questions or comments there if you would like, or call in. We love call-ins. We had Joe Richter today and John Allen and Taylor. It was really cool. We'd like to encourage you to check out some of the few podcasts and different websites and stuff we have listed there at the bottom. Joe put in the show notes some of our favorite ones we listen to. Anyway, this is Randy.
And this is Joe.
And remember, you can't be big like us and be geeks like us.
Okay, we are now entering the negative material plane.
Yep. If you don't want to hear ranting and raving, turn us off.
So
Mm-hmm.
I know we do our podcast through Anchor.
Yep.
Or at least the distribution of it is through Anchor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do anything else much with it except for that. But their freaking app sucks. I don't know about the iPhone side, how that app works. I just have an Android phone.
Right.
That app really blows chunks.
I've not done much with it. I messed with it a little bit. It's worked for what I needed to do.
So yes, if you somehow have the link to a podcast,
Mm-hmm.
or for some strange reason you can search for it and it finds the one you're looking for.
If it does.
If it does, then it works. But I've used the search function for the last 4 or 5 podcasts I tried to search for. I couldn't find through the search.
Really?
function.
Wow. Right. Ones that you knew were on Anchor.
Yeah. They wouldn't come up. So their search sucks. So the better thing to do is to just Google it and then click the link in the web browser.
Yeah. I've never searched through even the Anchor website. I've just looked like if I wanted to comment on Red Dice Diaries, I would just type that and then go to the website.
Right. So the other thing is the website and the app do different things. Do things differently, which is stupid.
Yes.
So they have apparently they have a development team on the website, which is different from the development team on the app, which is really dumb. Or
at least they should be working together and say, hey, does your app do this? Does your website do that? We need to make sure we're copacetic.
Right. So if I want to find a message that someone sent and I want to know when they sent it, the website won't tell me. But the app does.
Gotta love that.
And the website has so much more screen real estate. You'd think that little bit would be okay to put in there, but no. You don't need to know that information if you go to the website somehow. Right. In the app, there's a little headphone icon with the word discovery on it. And then when you click that, you can then go to your favorites and you see which ones you favorited, right?
Okay.
You can't do that on the website. There's no discovery function that I've been able to discover.
You can't search for podcasts on the
Okay.
website?
So there's no search function.
Lovely.
So if I'm in the dashboard, right? For the website or for our podcast, right. There's no function that takes you to a search bar where you can search for an app for a podcast that you want to listen to. You can go to the your podcast dashboard, and there's a button you can click that says View Public Site. Right? Still no search function.
Lovely.
You have to know the URL of the podcast. There's no discovery link or anything on the website. On Anchor's website. There is in the app, but not on the website.
Well, that's just beautiful.
And if I want to listen to messages,
yes, there's
not just a message tab, right? You have to hit the new episode tab on the website, and then there's messages.
Because they put them in the same, they connect them directly to that episode. Is that what they do? Or is it just you got to hit it?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, you have to hit the new episode. You can't hit episodes. If I want to hit episodes and then click on the episode, that's cool. But there's no thing that says, "Oh, here are some messages associated with that episode." No.
Lovely.
You have to click on the new episode button. This is in the website. And then they have a place where you have your messages. In the app, you have to do something similar. You have to be in the place where you're going to load up a new episode. And then there's a tools button you click, your tap, and then you'll find your library and then messages. It's crazy.
Yeah, it sounds insane. I'm not spending much time on there, so
yeah.
maybe I need to, so I can be frustrated too.
So they definitely have a different team doing the different things.
Yeah.
2 different teams, most likely, or different.
Get your teams, at least get your teams talking. Come on.
Yeah. It's
Crazy.
it's dumb.
Yeah.
I know I've left messages on whose was that? I can't remember now.
Right.
There was one of the anchorites who's talking about the same issue where the anchor app stinks.
Right.
I said, yep, it does.
Oh,
So
right. There you go.
yeah, that's my rant.
Okay. Well,
Anchor, your app sucks. If you're listening, your app sucks.
I have 2. And I don't know if they're rants. The second one may not be a thing, but I wanted to put it here because it might get ugly. So listen to Tinkar's Tavern Chat in his recent update from Monday and Tuesday. And he just had to do several in a row, Eric talked about, because he had to, like, all in one day, he did like 2 or 3 updates. WotC had launched another survey on Monday. That's 2 days ago. Took it down by the time Joe went looking for it last night.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And there's a lot of speculation. Folks started talking about, oh my gosh. Because what happened was they put it up. There's a few questions about you play D&D or this. And they're talking about the modern generation, 5th edition. And then some people, not everybody, went to a question that said, if you'd like to do more of these, answer more of these questions, you need to sign an NDA. They put an NDA sign on a survey. And Eric talked about how enforceable that was and blah, blah, blah. And I was kind of thinking, everybody was speculating, oh, that means they're working on a new edition. Oh, it means that. And I was just kind of annoyed. Like, why are you putting NDA in a survey? But okay, whatever. WotC, you do you. And then Eric mentioned today that it doesn't seem to be a new edition. It seems that the survey hinted, so some folks let this slip, at a new VTT for Tabletop Dungeons and Dragons and a possible subscription service. And
another one.
Another one. Gleemax, how well Gleemax didn't happen.
Yeah.
And Eric can go on and on about that. So they're talking about getting in the Roll20 Fantasy Grounds game, maybe, if this is true. And Eric surmised they may even bring the old rules available, but they're talking about, because I know with Gleemax, Eric's going to do an episode where he thought the reason they did Gleemax is they wanted to monetize buying pogs or figure, what are those called, on the pictures of monsters, characters and stuff. And so he thinks may not be never be a 6th edition. They'll just keep adjusting the 5th edition rules.
It's possible.
And which might be a smarter model. I don't know. But I think that's interesting that they want NDA because they don't want anybody to know that they might do VTT. Eric surmised something else too. He thinks that if D&D, if Wizards were to get into the VTT market and they were to make a pretty good one, that it might spell some trouble for Roll20 and the others. The NDA for a stupid survey, really?
I heard that bit from Eric, and from what he said, there were threats of a fine. How could they impose a fine precisely? Well,
they said they could hunt down your IP address or something. Really? Come on.
No, there's no way.
Who you kidding?
No. So they could send you a bill.
Yeah.
But they couldn't enforce you paying it. And what would be the result of not paying the fine? I mean, fine, as if they're the police. It's stupid.
Yeah. But again, that's just Wizards being dumb.
The other thing is they've never done any of this good.
What?
They've never done any electronic product like this very well.
Nothing. So I think in D&D Beyond's not theirs. That's a third party.
Yeah.
They didn't actually make that. So they've never been successful. Now they do have Hasbro behind them. So I guess theoretically they have the cash to do it if they'll put it in there.
I think that they're better served licensing someone else.
I think so too. Then my other one, I should put the link in there, but I don't know if I care to. Joe and I are part of a group called Conservative RPG Group on Facebook. And someone had mentioned a guy had posted a video on YouTube about, I think they're called the Zennials. They're like basically age 25 and under, the generation. And he was talking about how you DM them differently, and we could argue that, but I don't care to. It doesn't bother me. He said something that annoyed the crap out of me, and I tried to be calm, but it was hard. He said he referred to the greatest generation, which everybody knows is the World War II generation. And he said, yeah, they've been called that. And he agreed that they were. He goes with the Xennials now because they've been through the pandemic. Now they're the ultimate generation. And he said, because the war, and his reasoning, one of his reasonings were, I didn't listen to the whole thing because I was too angry and I should listen to it, but according to what people comment, I'm going to listen to the whole thing. But just him saying, well, there weren't boots on the ground in the US, so they didn't really face the kind of fear that the Xennials did. And I said, really? 400,000 plus US soldiers were killed. Nobody was afraid. There was rationing of food. Nobody was afraid. Pearl Harbor, nobody was afraid. Oh, yeah. And before that, the Great Depression. And the COOF is worse than all that.
Not even close.
That is the dumbest. You are an idiot if you believe that. You can't defend that.
No.
And the dude, I mean, he might be okay, and I'm going to listen to it if I can. But just that statement made me go, "You're dumb. Turn it off."
So if you take, I've heard this argument before.
Mhm.
If you just do raw numbers,
Right.
then the raw numbers suggest more impact. But if you take the population at the time
Mhm.
numbers and what they had at stake if the boys that went over there failed,
Yes.
compared to 350 million, the lives lost are all tragic.
Yep.
But
Get over it.
as a percentage of our population, there's
Yep.
no comparison.
I don't even care about that. Just
No,
for-
but the thing is, if you don't do that, then you don't have the level of impact, right? So the impact that the pandemic has on our society today, the impact isn't really from, okay, this is going to sound weird to some people. The most negative impact isn't from the loss of life.
Nope.
It's from the fear porn that the media has given us.
The purposeful, especially in the US, purposeful destruction or damaging of our economy by our stupid politicians. And I include
Right.
all of them in there.
Right.
But here's the thing, as bad as that is, get over yourself.
Yeah.
I would much rather face 27 pandemics like on the level of COVID than I would World War II.
Right.
Because that would, to get the equivalent and take your number, your ratio, turn that ratio around and think about, and that's just the US soldiers. That list is in the millions, over 1 million for the Russians.
Right.
And that is damaging. That's not only destroying economies, that's destroying countries.
Right.
That's killing people violently on purpose.
Right.
Right. So, and even in the US, we were attacked in Pearl Harbor with, I don't know, missiles and guns, and ships were blown up. People were killed on our soil.
Yeah.
So no boots were on the ground. Whatever, dude.
That's
You're
stupid.
deranged. You're
There's no
literally
boots.
deranged.
Yeah. There's no boots on the ground now.
That's what Josh said. There's no boots on the ground with the pandemic. It's like, you don't know what you're talking about.
No.
You're literally a fool. And
That's a nitwit.
it is. And I really don't use that word, seriously often, but he's a fool.
Yeah.
He is literally deluded.
Yeah.
And I don't care about anybody that thinks otherwise. You're wrong. You're inarguably wrong. It's self-evidently wrong.
Right. The loss of life during the COVID pandemic, which is now no longer a pandemic.
Correct.
The disease is endemic. It's a part of our
Mhm.
life, right? It's like measles, mumps, not this type of disease it is, or the effect, or the whatever else. It is part of the landscape.
Yep.
It's here.
Yep.
It's not going to get eradicated. It's just here. It's endemic. It's not a pandemic anymore.
The only reason my life changed is because of a lot of stupid politicians and a butt ton of fear mongering. I would have walked into my classroom the day after,
Mhm.
and I would have taught without a mask.
Right.
And I wouldn't have blinked an eye. And I got the coof. And I know it's anecdotal, but it was a colossal joke. Loss of taste was the worst thing. I had flu-like symptoms for 24 hours, sweated it out, went out, was raking leaves, and they called me. I had it. I was like, oh, okay. That was horrible. And then I'm 54-year-old fat guy. Granted, I'm in pretty good shape for a fat dude. But the point is, I have other people I know that had it, and it's fine. There's people that died. It's fine. But it really affected the infirm and the old.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that's okay, but
Right.
when they
The
get COVID,
World
they
War
die.
II
Yeah,
killed young people.
correct. 18, 17, 16. You better believe it. There were 16-year-olds in that fight.
Yeah. Average age. What was that song called? 19.
Mm-hmm.
Was that about World War II?
Correct.
And the loss of so many young people, the potential that they lost all that potential.
And it damages society much worse.
Yeah.
I'm not I love grandma. Don't get that confused. I love grandma. I hate that stupid comment. I don't want grandma to die, but grandma's going to die when she's 93.
Right. Most of the people that died from COVID died years past life expectancy.
Yes.
So,
and young people under 30, you shouldn't have blinked an eye.
Right.
You should have said mask. You should have said what? Shut up.
Right.
It's a cult.
So yeah, and so our economies were wrecked in World War II. I mean, London
was wrecked. Yeah.
Building, so much destruction of property way beyond. Yeah.
My house is still standing.
Yeah.
But I have family members that one's passed. They both have passed, but they told me about going to D-Day and being there and walking through Germany and London and just seeing the horror, and not to mention what happened to the Jewish people.
Yeah. The only destruction. Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. The only destruction that happened during this didn't come from the pandemic. It came from rioters.
Correct. In the U.S. anyway.
In the U.S.
Yeah. So anyway, that just ticked me off. And he sounded like he was probably 30 something, but I don't know. He could be 80. I don't know. He was driving along blabbering. I was like, really? And then I think most of it's not even about that. It's really just, so to be fair, I am picking a comment and losing my mind over it, to be fair to the guy. And he went on to talk about something about Xennials need to be treated differently. I'm like, whatever.
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
No.
Different groups I have, different compositions of groups react different ways, but I can run my game the same way for every stinking group. Now, what might happen is their reactions could be different, which might change the way I do it because their reactions, but it's not going to be like, we're not having Kumbaya and Veils in the X card. I don't care what group you are. I'm not doing it.
Right.
Go find somebody else to play with.
Right.
I'm not going to be a jerk about things, but my point is, I'm not changing who I am because someone's 22.
No.
Well, look at CabinCon. We had a 21-year-old and 18-year-old. And guess what those two did? They gamed like awesome sauce.
Yeah.
Those two kids were impressive.
We didn't have to. We just were. We didn't
join
change.
us.
Yeah.
Join us if you would like. And they said, booyah. And they were feet on the ground. They were boots on the ground, jumping in and playing.
Yeah.
So yeah, whatever.
There was no changing how we do things or talk or anything. They got treated like people.
And they loved it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think it's dumb.
I'm sorry, but that's really, and again, opinion. So.
Yeah, this is our opinion. You don't have to have it.
Yeah. All right. I think that's all I got.
Yeah. Me too. Thanks for leaving us on a bad note.
Yeah, badness. Damn, evil. You guys out there that don't like that, don't listen. I'm telling you. Don't want to hear it. All right, man. Hey, I'm gonna get Brago in. You still got a minute? I'm gonna stop the recording.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't put this on the podcast. They'll see me talking.